I finally saw the real you, and I need to stop everything right now and tell you what that did to me, because it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I was prepared for, and I have been sitting with it ever since, turning it over in my hands, trying to find words big enough to hold what I felt in that moment. And I don't think the words exist, honestly, but I'm going to try anyway. I'm going to try because you deserve someone who tries. You deserve someone who reaches for the inadequate words anyway, who stumbles through the imperfect language anyway, who shows up with everything they have, even when everything they have doesn't feel like quite enough. So here I am, showing up with everything I have. Because what I saw when I finally saw the real you changed something in me permanently, and you need to know that. I want to be very specific about what I mean when I say I finally saw the real you, because I had seen you before. I want to be clear about that. I had been looking at you, paying attention to you, carrying you around in my thoughts for a long time before this moment. But there is a difference, and I think you know this difference. I think you have felt it from both sides at some point in your life. There is a profound difference between seeing someone and truly seeing them. Between looking at the surface of a person, however beautiful that surface is, and suddenly, in one quiet, unexpected moment, seeing all the way through, seeing the depth, seeing the truth, seeing the thing that lives underneath all the layers that everyone builds to protect themselves from a world that doesn't always handle softness carefully. I saw that in you. I saw all the way through to the real thing, and what I found there took my breath away completely. I want to tell you exactly when it happened. I want to tell you the precise moment, because I think the details matter. I think the details are what make the difference between something that sounds like a beautiful speech and something that feels like the truth. And this is the truth. This is the most truthful thing I have said in a very long time. It happened in a moment when you didn't know you were being seen, when you weren't performing or presenting or putting your best face forward, when you were just you, unguarded and unaware and completely, nakedly, breathtakingly yourself. And in that moment, in the space of a few seconds that somehow contained more than most hours do, I saw it. I saw who you actually are, and I have not been the same since. What I saw first, and this is the thing that hit me before anything else, before I had time to process or analyze or put any kind of framework around it, was your tenderness. Not the soft social tenderness that people perform, because it's expected. The real kind. The deep, private, this is who I am when no one is watching kind. The tenderness that you carry for the things and people you love in a way that is so careful and so genuine that it made my chest ache just to witness it. You love carefully. Do you know that? You love with this extraordinary attentiveness, this quality of attention that most people reserve only for the most precious things, and you give it freely and fully to the things that matter to you. And watching that, seeing that unguarded and real and completely unself-conscious, I felt something in me go completely still. The way everything goes still when you are in the presence of something genuinely beautiful. And then, almost immediately after, I saw something else. Something right underneath the tenderness, living in the same deep place. I saw your loneliness, and I want to be careful here because I am not saying this to expose you or to make you feel seen in a way that feels uncomfortable or intrusive. I am saying it because I think it might be one of the most important things I can say to you. I saw that you are someone who gives enormously and feels enormously and shows up enormously, and that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, in the quiet, unwitnessed moments, you wonder if anyone is doing the same for you. If anyone is seeing you the way you see them. If anyone is holding you in their thoughts with the same care that you hold everyone else. And in that moment, Watching you carry that quiet, wondering, without complaint, without making it anyone else's problem, just holding it privately and continuing to give anyway. I felt something rise in me that I don't have a simple word for. Something fierce and protective and overwhelmingly tender. Something that said, without ambiguity, without negotiation, not anymore. She will not carry that alone anymore. Not while I am here. I need you to hear that. Not anymore. You have done enough carrying alone. You have been enough things for enough people without enough people being those things back for you. And I am not saying that to make you feel pitied, because pity is the last thing I feel when I look at you. What I feel is something closer to its opposite. A kind of awed respect for how much you have continued to love and to give and to show up in the face of not always having it returned in equal measure. That is not weakness. That is one of the most formidable things I have ever seen. But it is also something that deserves to change. It is also something that deserves to meet its match. And I want to be its match. I want to be the thing that finally, at long last, returns what you have been giving out so faithfully for so long. There was a moment, right after I saw all of that, where I just needed to be still, for a minute. I needed to not move, not speak, not fill the space with anything, because what I had just seen felt too important to rush past. It felt like one of those moments that you know, even as you're living it, that you will remember forever. One of those moments where time does something strange and slows down just enough for you to really feel where you are and understand what's happening and know that something is different now, that you are different now, that there is a before and an after, and you are standing right at the line between them. I was standing at that line, and I looked at you, and I thought, I will spend a very long time being grateful for this moment. I will spend a very long time being grateful that I was paying enough attention to catch it. Because that's the thing about the real you. The thing I want you to understand most deeply from everything I'm saying today. The real you is not something that announces itself. It's not something that arrives with fanfare or places itself obviously in front of you and says, here, look, this is the important thing. Pay attention to this. The real you lives quietly. It reveals itself in small unguarded moments, in the spaces between the things you say, in the way you move through the world, when you think no one significant is watching. And I was watching. I have always been watching. But this time I was watching with the right kind of attention. The kind that doesn't just register, but actually receives. The kind that takes what it sees and holds it and lets it matter. And what it received was you. The whole, true, full, real you. And I need you to know it is more than you think it is. You are more than you think you are. What lives inside you, in that deep, private place where the real things live, is one of the most extraordinary things I have ever been privileged enough to witness. I want to tell you something about the days that followed that moment, because it didn't just affect me in the moment. It rippled. It kept unfolding, kept revealing new dimensions, kept teaching me new things about what I felt and what I wanted and who you were and what this meant. I found myself walking through ordinary days with this heightened awareness, this sense of everything being slightly more vivid, slightly more present, slightly more worth paying attention to. The way everything looks after something important happens to you. The way the world seems to sharpen its edges and brighten its colors because your own internal light has been turned up. That's what seeing the real you did to my ordinary days. It turned the light up on everything. I kept thinking about specific details. The way your face looked in that unguarded moment. The particular quality of quiet that surrounded you. The way your hands rested. The way your breath moved. I kept returning to these details, the way you return to a favorite page in a book. Not because you need to relearn it, but because being in contact with it again feels good, feels right, feels like visiting somewhere that belongs to you. And each time I returned to those details, I found something new in them, some fresh layer of meaning, some additional understanding of who you are and why you matter, and how completely you have found your way into the most important parts of how I think and feel. And somewhere in the middle of all that returning and finding and understanding, I realized something that I want to share with you now, because I think it might change the way you see yourself, even a little, even just enough to matter. I realized that the things you are most uncertain about, the parts of yourself that you probably examine most critically, the aspects of who you are that you worry might be too much or not enough or somehow wrong, those are the exact parts that I find most extraordinary. The depth of your feeling that you've probably been told is too intense. The way you love completely that you've maybe learned to apologize for. The longing for real connection that you might have taught yourself to minimize, because the world doesn't always reward that kind of honesty. Those things, exactly those things, they are not your flaws, they are your finest qualities. They are the things that make you irreplaceable. They are the things I saw when I finally saw the real you, and they are the things that made me certain, completely, permanently, without a single reservation certain, that you are someone I want in my life with everything I am. Can I tell you what it felt like to finally see you clearly? I want to try to describe it, because I think you deserve to know the experience from my side. It felt like something I'd been looking at slightly out of focus, suddenly sharpening into perfect clarity. It felt like a sound you've been straining to hear finally coming through clean and clear with no interference. It felt like stepping from a dim room into natural light and seeing colors the way they were always meant to be seen. It felt like, and this is the most honest way I can say it, it felt like recognition. Like something in me that already knew you finally got confirmation from the outside world. Like coming home to a place you've always belonged but have only just found. That is how it felt. And that feeling has not left me. It lives in me now permanently. Warmly, certainly, like something that has always been there and has simply finally been named. I want to talk to you about something that I think is important and that I haven't addressed yet. I want to talk to you about the armor. Because I saw that too, in that unguarded moment when everything was visible. I saw the armor you wear, the careful, beautifully constructed, completely understandable armor that you have built over years of being in a world that doesn't always treat sensitive people gently. I saw the places where you have learned to hold back, learned to be measured, learned to present the version of yourself that feels safest to show, rather than the version that is most fully alive. And I want to say something about that armor with all the gentleness I have. It has served you. It has protected you. It has gotten you through things that needed getting through. I am not asking you to be ashamed of it or to throw it away or to be anything other than as careful as you need to be. But I want you to know something about what I saw underneath it. Underneath the armor, in that unguarded moment, when it slipped just enough for me to see through. Underneath it is someone so alive, so full, so extraordinarily vibrant and real and warm that the contrast took my breath away. The armor is not you. The armor is what you wear to get through the days when the world asks more than it gives. But underneath it is the real you. And the real you is someone who deserves to feel safe enough to exist without armor, at least in some spaces, at least with some people. I want to be one of those people. I want to be one of the spaces where the armor can come off. Not because I will never hurt you. I cannot promise perfect, but because I am paying attention. Because I see you clearly enough to know what needs to be handled carefully. Because knowing the real you, having been privileged enough to witness it, makes me want to be worthy of it. I have been thinking about what I want to say to the version of you that is sitting somewhere right now, listening to this, feeling things you might not be quite sure what to do with. The version of you that wants to believe all of this, but has a small, careful, learned voice in the back of your mind that says, "Be careful, you've heard beautiful words before, wait and see." I want to speak directly to that voice. I want to say, you are right to be careful. You are right to wait and see. You are right to require evidence rather than just words. All of that is wisdom and I respect it completely. But I also want to say this. What I am offering you is not just words. What I am offering is a commitment to showing you over time, in every small consistent way, that real things are shown, that I see you, that I choose you, that the real you specifically and completely is the thing I want to be close to, not the performed version, not the armored version, the real one, the whole one, the full, complicated, breathtakingly beautiful real one that I finally, in one quiet extraordinary moment, got to see. And now that I have seen it, now that I know what lives inside you, now that the real you has become something I carry with me everywhere I go, I find that I am constantly reaching toward it, constantly wanting to say things that honor it, constantly wanting to create the conditions where it feels safe enough to show itself, where the armor becomes unnecessary, where you can simply be fully yourself without cost or consequence, or the exhausting labor of managing how you are perceived. I want to give you that. The freedom of being completely known and completely chosen and completely safe. That is what I am working toward. That is what I am building toward with every honest word. There is a question I want to ask you, and I want you to sit with it rather than answer it quickly. When was the last time you let someone see the real you? Not just pieces of you, not just the carefully selected, strategically shared, this is what I'm comfortable revealing version of you, but the whole thing, the tender parts and the lonely parts and the fiercely loving parts and the frightened parts and the wildly hopeful parts. When was the last time you trusted someone enough, felt safe enough, believed in something enough to let it all be visible at once? I'm asking because I think the answer might matter. I think it might tell you something about how long you've been waiting for somewhere safe to land. And I want you to know, I see that waiting. I see how long you've been carrying it. I see how much courage it has taken to remain open and hoping in spite of it. And I want to be the answer to it. I want to be the place